Hola chicos, estamos ahora en el capítulo 3, right? Chapter 3 already, just 2.5 weeks into the summer session. So like I said, this goes quick. So we are moving forward. If you're watching this video, it means presumably you're all done with all of the work from capítulo 2, which includes your first exam. I've looked at the couple who completed it early, and they're pretty good. I'm happy. I have found, doing this for a number of years now, that students who take this Spanish in a summer session where it's so intensive and we're moving so fast tend to actually do really well because you're pushing yourself to absorb and grasp it all at once. So this is going well. I sent out an announcement, and I just want to remind you also, please don't be freaked out about your initial exam scores, okay? The computer cannot grade your exam accurately. It's not possible. It can't grade things where you fill in the blank. It doesn't make accommodations for accents, or if I have put in an answer in the computer that's capitalized and you don't capitalize it, then it will mark it as wrong. So your scores are not accurate until I go through and I manually grade every single one of your exams. I will write comments on the exam throughout the exam. I'll write a comment that will go into the gradebook box. So until you see that I have actually written comments to you on your exam, know that your grade is not accurate. It's not final. So don't worry, okay? The grades always go up significantly when I grade them. And I know that's going to happen again. It generally takes me about a week to complete full grading of things like exams, or like at the time when your discussion forums are graded. So be patient and try to hold with me. So capítulo 3, that's what we're moving on to now. You guys are starting to learn now how to put together basic sentences. You've learned the basic structure of verbs. You know how to ask questions, right? You know how to speak with affirmation and negation. En capítulo 3, el vocabulario es las materias académicas, la vida estudiantil, los edificios de la universidad, y números más grandes, okay? So you're talking about academics, about student life, about university buildings, about things you use, materials you use in academic life. So things that you should be familiar with, right? We're all students here, students and professor. So this is something to get you talking about things that are familiar to you. And then larger numbers. So that's your vocabulary. In grammar, we'll be looking at possessive adjectives. Possessive adjectives in Spanish can be a bit tricky for people, or just talking about possession in Spanish, because they form it differently than in English. So try and be careful with the concepts and be aware of what you're doing. We'll be going further with verbs. So we'll be practicing more with verb structures and what you've been learning. And remember, last time I told you tener is a verb that's used in different ways. So in this chapter, we'll be looking at expressions using tener. We'll be looking at a couple of other irregular verbs, ir and hacer, to go and to do or to make. And then this is where you technically are learning the present tense of estar. Remember, we learned ser already, and we're going to be learning estar and ser versus estar. But this should be a familiar concept to you if you watched my video in chapter 1, if you looked at the PowerPoints from chapter 1, since I introduced it there also. Culturally, we're looking at Mexico. Okay, so the work for capítulo 3, you have your song and your videos in the modules. Michel Thomas Disc 4. Okay, now you really do need to be working with Michel Thomas. Not only is it great practice, it helps with pronunciation, but I will have some things from Michel Thomas when we do our oral exam in just another 2 weeks. Okay, so make sure you practice with that. You have your forum composition. And this time around, your forum composition actually looks forward a little bit to vocabulary from the next chapter. You're going to be writing about mi familia. All right? So if you need to look at that vocabulary, you can look ahead. That's always perfectly fine. And again, you do not have to divulge personal information. And even in things, when you do recorded exercises and written exercises in my Spanish lab, and the directions always say answer truthfully. Honestly, I don't care if you answer truthfully. I don't care if you write truthfully about your family. If you don't want to divulge personal stuff, don't do it. What's important to me is that you are writing or speaking correctly in Spanish, right? The honesty, honestly, I wouldn't know. But just make sure that the grammar is correct, the vocabulary is correct. That's what matters. Your film this time is Real Women Have Curves. It's a fun film. It's very heartfelt, very cultural. So make sure you watch that and post in the forums. I've had a couple of people ask me where and how to find the films. If you are going through all parts of the module, then you know where to find them, because you can actually click on the hyperlinks in the modules to watch the films directly from there. And then, of course, you have your SI and your conversation hours, which you should be doing every chapter, right? And especially, we're going to start building on vocabulary and on grammar, so these are things you want to be practicing. Okay, I will be working on getting grading done. You will be working on Capítulo 3, and you know how and where to find me if you have any questions, okay? Adiós.